Recording in progress.
Good evening, Canby. Welcome to the Canby Urban Renewal Agency work session for June 7th. We're going to call this meeting to order. It is 6:22. I do want to, before we open up the item number 2, old business, just to remind everybody that this is a work session. And so any kind of public comment tonight is not done in a work session. We don't take public comment in a work session, but you are invited to stay for our city council meeting, which will be shortly after. That's where you can share your public comment regarding anything that's done here tonight. So that said, I'll go into item number 2, old business, which is a discussion regarding the URA future projects. And I believe we have staff. Randy, are you going to open it up and then bring it in?
We're going to start it off. Yeah, I just wanted to remind the commission that the discussion of the future of the urban renewal projects came up during their budget meetings. So this workshop is an outlook of that. Bring up the presentation. The council will, or the commission will consider projects that you want to direct staff to further pursue. But in thinking through the order of priorities, staff has given some consideration, and I think that the first question that needs to be answered is what assumptions are you going to make with regard to the economic development program? And so you'll see a couple of options in that material that we're going to present to you. So making that decision affects how much money you have for projects. So I just wanted to make that statement. And with that, once we get the presentation up, Katie, why don't you come up and there it is.
And Maya, are you going to click through, or do you have the?
Yes, here you go.
It's our first meeting with some new technology, so bear with us as we get used to it.
Can you see if it will click through? Yep.
Oh.
Right. So these are the items that we want you to consider, commissioners. How would the Urban Renewal Agency prefer to fund the economic development program over the next 3 years? Which projects would the Urban Renewal Agency direct staff to further pursue? The Urban Renewal Agency has requested that the city reimburse the Urban Renewal District for the overage at Community Park. You might want to consider utilizing general fund money to pay for the entirety of community park upgrades, just a thought that we talked about today. And then any other considerations for Urban Renewal Agency for the Urban Renewal Agency that we didn't think of and it's still on.
So first we wanted to review the list of projects that had been discussed previously. The last time that this came before, this slide was part of the annual report that Eric Katola and I presented to the Urban Renewal Agency recently, but this list is not new. So this is a list that came from last year. It was in March of 2022 and also in December of 2021. And it was a list of projects, and Maya, can you scroll down just a little bit because there's more that I'm unable to see. Perfect. So the items in bold at the top, those have been previously identified as priority projects. That includes the logging trail bridge improvements, which with new paint, artwork, fencing, lighting, and then the installation of a footbridge access at Fred Meyer. Northwest 2nd Avenue redevelopment from Grant Street to Elm, upgrades to 12 downtown alleyways between 1st and 4th Avenue, Ivy Street to Cedar Street. And then the other four we wanted to make sure that we kept included because it was something that had been previously discussed. So that would be redeveloping 1st Avenue to 2nd Avenue on Fur and Grant Street, Northwest 1st Avenue from Elm Street to Douglas Street, Township Road from Baker Prairie Middle School to Sequoia Parkway, and then further Wake Park improvements. So we brought forward the cost estimates that we have provided before with some updates. Some of the projects such as Community Park had been part of this list prior, but obviously that has moved forward. So we removed that from the future projects funding. And then also we included an addendum that we received from Harper Huff, which is one of the engineers that looked at the Logging Trail Bridge. We had better estimates. So for those three priority projects, there's a total between 2.6 and 4.5 million. Additionally, Eric Kaitola, do you want to speak to this or do you want me to present and you can answer any questions? I'll just. So Eric Kaitola brought forward some cash flow projections. So option A includes funding, continuing to fund economic development through urban renewal as it currently does. I know that there was some conversation at our budget committee meetings about tapering that off, and that is actually going to be an option B. But so this is maintaining that economic development funding as it is, and the capital project would be $1.85 million would be available potentially. And these are based off of projections. So it is the best guess that Eric can do with the information that he has at this time, but 1.85 with option A. And Maya, can you scroll down? Thank you. For option B, it includes a phase off and a phase down. And one of the things that we also wanted to note is you'll see 80% in 2024, 60% in 2025, in 2026, 40%. That is just to provide some information. It's not necessarily our recommendation or how it would be tapered off. That would be up to you to decide. The amount of capital project funding potentially would be then increased to $2.385 million. And then just did a side-by-side comparison, which shows obviously the two, option A, option B, and the difference of $533,896 as the amount that would increase for the capital projects if you went with option B versus option A. And then we brought back the same questions as before of how would the Urban Renewal Agency prefer to fund economic development over the next 3 years? Which projects would the Urban Renewal Agency direct staff to further pursue? The Urban Renewal Agency had requested the city to reimburse the Urban Renewal District for the overage at Community Park and could consider utilizing general fund money to pay for the entirety of those upgrades. And then any other considerations and discussion points that you might have tonight.
Any questions? And do you have anything more?
No, that's just, that concludes our presentation. We wanted to make sure we're creating maximum time for the agency to discuss the options.
Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation, Jamie, and for working this out. Does this still, on the option A, B, and C, does that still show us paying off their renewal budget year 2025, 2026?
Yes. Do you want to join? There's more questions like that. You're in the middle.
Yeah, option A and B both have the urban renewal district debt being paid off June of 2026.
Okay, so that would be budget year 25, 26, ending in June.
And what was that?
That's budget year 25, 26, ending in June.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So, Joe, maybe you can help correct me on this if I'm wrong, but just to make sure that everyone's aware, in order for the urban renewal agency to extend beyond the current sunset date, it would require that agreement with all of the taxing districts, correct? We can't just make that decision here. That takes everybody.
The current plan has a maximum indebtedness that it can't go beyond, so it doesn't really make any sense to continue with that plan anyway. And if you go with a new plan that is an amendment over 1%, then you do have to get all the taxing districts, or a majority of them, the lion's share of them, on board with the plan.
Perfect, thank you, because I know that there's been a lot of discussion over when it's going to end, and just to make it all clear out there, it has to, based on the current agreement.
The amount of indebtedness, you can't collect more taxes than you can go into debt. And so you'll reach an endpoint where the useful life of it will be over, because really then we were talking about the idea that once you paid off your debts and you can't borrow any more money, then basically the money would have to be reallocated back to the taxing districts anyway. That's probably a bigger answer than you want, but.
Well, no, but it brings up another question, and that is, if we were to go out, what did it say we have? Wait, but $1.8 million to spend. If we spent that tomorrow, then does that, what does that do?
Well, here's the deal with urban renewal is that once you have debts, if you decide to close early, if there's still debts outstanding, then those obligations go right into the city. So the city would owe that. Yeah. So the ability for the urban renewal agency to collect taxes is only when it exists.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And also the funding that would be available for capital projects would be over the next 3 years based on the money that would come in each year. Correct. And I can't get this to go back, but I was trying to show that.
Okay,
on
go
screen.
ahead, sorry.
That's okay. So whether this one happens to be option B, but you see 150,000 for 2024, 1.1, and then 1.135. Correct.
And the lion's share of the actual money, because it's almost $5 million that comes in, is on the debt service of stuff we're already paying off. So it's our giant mortgage, basically, that still needs to be paid.
Vice Chair.
Yeah, just, again, want to clarify. We go through and take these projects on, spend $2.35 million. That does not extend the rural district any further than 2026.
It will not extend it past June of 26.
Commissioner Banks and then Commissioner Hensley.
Thank you. I'll try to put this. So in terms of prioritizing how we're going to spend money, first I have one question. Did we used to have an economic development program in the city before we created the urban renewal district, or is that created because of the urban renewal district?
There was a business improvement district that just focused on downtown, and their funding was not able to my understanding, their funding was not able to be renewed. And so at that time, with the urban renewal district, the city administrator brought that on as an economic development department, and that was about 2010.
That was the Main Street program, right?
Well, yes, and the city still has a Main Street program as part of our economic development efforts. We've extended over time.
In terms of prioritizing, I would, since we just wrapped up our budget, I would request that the city take on the economic development program for 25 and 26 budget years, and that we prioritize that logging road bridge, that we continue to prioritize those bold-faced items on the slideshow. And I don't know if we have enough money to do the entire logging road bridge, but we've already put money into that with the engineering, and that's what I recommend that we go forward on.
So you're asking if next, so instead of doing a phase out of economic development, that after this budget year, it goes 100% over to the city, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're gonna have to do that eventually anyway, and then we might have enough money to actually complete the Logging Road Bridge. It's unclear to me why the amount of available money for capital projects is less than it was projected to be a year ago. But since it seems to be, I'd like to get as much Logging Road Bridge as possible. I think that the other projects we need to complete as well, but it doesn't look like the Urban Renewal Agency has enough money to complete all those. So some of that stuff's gonna have to get picked up by the city.
Commissioner Hensley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was asked that, if we spend the 1.8 million or the 2.3, which we're going to go, it would not extend the life of the district past 25-26. But if we were to not spend that money and use it for debt service, could we close it earlier than 25-26?
No, there's not enough money to be saved to make up a $4 million payment.
So, Commissioner Banquet, a very question, I guess, is can there be an explanation of why a year ago we were projected to have more money than we're projected to have now? Have we spent that much money over this last year? And what projects did we spend that on this year?
I would need to know what Councilor Banks was looking at for the number. If it came from the Urban Renewal Annual Report that we present, that's usually like a year behind what the budget numbers are, so I'm not sure what number he's looking at, but he can give me the exact number, I can explain it.
I'm going to able to help too, in that when we refinanced and there was a $6 million savings in interest, I think the thought was, oh, that $6 million can be used for projects. But the problem is that we accelerated the payback. So I think initially that savings came because we not only, when we refinanced, we said we're not gonna pay it back to 36, we're gonna pay it back to 26. And so it's like when you actually increase your mortgage, say if you go to a 15-year over 30-year kind of thing. And so I believe that we actualized $6 million in savings, but we're closing the mortgage sooner, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so we didn't get $6 million, we just saved $6 million, we would have to spend otherwise, that makes sense. Any other questions?
Could we confirm that scenario? Because it is curious. Can we confirm that that is what happened?
I can, if you can provide me what number you're looking at, that you're talking about for last year.
It was the number, it was the savings that when we refinanced, it was gonna be like 6 million, and so we dreamed up $6 million worth of projects. And then we don't have those anymore. I don't have the number in front of me. It was a year and a half ago, maybe.
That's just, I think what Joe had just was talking about, that savings, this is $6 million in savings in interest payments that we would have had to pay if we hadn't refinanced. It doesn't mean that we had $6 million in cash to spend, we just realized the $6 million savings in interest payments. So, does that make sense? We didn't, it might have come across a different way, is that we had $6 million to spend, it's just that we're gonna not have to spend that $6 million in debt repayment.
Right, I understood that. It's just that I thought Joe's answer was speculative. He said, I think that was the issue, and I was just wondering if you could confirm it.
Well, it's true that is pretty speculative, although I will say that seems to be my working understanding of it. And the other piece of this is, I don't think that discussion took into account the maximum indebtedness of the district itself. Because when you look at the maximum indebtedness, you can only spend so much over the life of the district. And so I believe we ran into that. So we can't spend more than that maximum indebtedness. So that's kind of the second part of that answer, Councilor Banks.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do the revenue, the actuals from 21, which is June of 21 is when that debt was refinanced. And I can do the actuals for revenue and expenditures from then till now, so that you guys can see the way the money was spent.
Do that be great, is that something that can just be emailed out to us?
Yeah.
Perfect. Commissioner Patton, Mr. House.
Yeah, so I think, so I'm looking at the original version of the presentation that was presented to council. Back when there was the thought that there was this windfall of money saved through the, refinancing of loans. So I just want to make sure that we're understanding this. To me, it sounds like because we refinance those loans, instead of the urban renewal district getting paid off and the taxing districts getting their fair share of the money in 2036 or whatever it is, it's actually going to happen in 2025 or something. It's going to happen almost 8 to 10 years earlier than what was originally projected before the loans were refinanced. Am I hearing that correct?
I believe that's the case.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm hoping that goes a ways for folks who want to see the URD dead, that you're gonna get your way earlier than you had expected over a decade ago. What I would like to see is us do as many of these projects as we can before, and use the full borrowing power of the urban renewal district before it's gone. Because we talk as a city council about the money that's coming in once this urban renewal sunsets and it's paid off. In my opinion, we have spent that money 3 times over. These projects will never see the light of day if we do not leverage this money that we have to get them done. They might see the light of day in 20 or 30 years, but they're not going to happen in the next 10 years if we don't do these projects. And I would prefer that the logging road bridge be the first priority, then the alleyways, and then 2nd Avenue, because I believe in a conversation that I had with Jerry some time ago, there's some questions about the way the alleys are, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry, but I believe there was some question about using these alleyways as a way to define the standard for which alleys should be like built and paved out within the city. And because those alleyways are not traveled by a majority of citizens, I would prefer to see urban renewal money used to pave those alleyways and fix them, rather than street maintenance fee money to things that are less traveled by people within the city. That is my suggestion.
Great, thank you. Vice Chair Hudson.
Yeah, may I just make a recommendation that maybe we go to the list of questions and or decisions that we need to make and tackle those one at a time as a group versus each of us weighing in on everything at the same time.
So let me, before we do that, Joe, because we're in a work session, so we can't make any definitive action tonight.
Yeah.
Make decisions, correct?
No decisions. I mean, we can have general consensus.
General consensus, yes. So, just if we're making that, just keep that in mind, that we're general consensus, not any sort of firm decision.
Well, in that case, and I'll weigh in with an opinion. I think in terms of the cash flow projection piece, the taper down approach, that's what I think should be the route to go versus keeping it where it's at and all of a sudden absorbing the cash, or the expenses, all at one time. Gives us the ability to course correct and make changes, as they may perhaps come up. In terms of projects, let's see, projects, I like the logging trail bridge. To me is an incredibly important entryway to Canby. It is not attractive. It doesn't scream welcome to Canby. So that's why I'd like to see that one taken care of first. the alleyways and adjacent, or sorry, Commissioner Patton made some good points about where if you don't do that from these funds, then it's going to come out of road maintenance funds, and those are at a premium as we stand. And then Second Avenue, that we did.
It's not actually second, right, Jerry, isn't it first, it's Spur and Grant between first and second?
There was a second.
There's a Second Avenue one finishing second down to Elm,
From Grant to Elm.
Grant to Elm, yeah. And portions like by the Legion, by the Grand Building that we didn't quite finish
Right,
on
okay.
First Avenue.
I was gonna do two mixed up.
Yep.
And then finally, regarding community park, yeah, I know, this one I'm still kind of torn on because the reason that we included community park in the urban rural district was for us, the district, to be able to spend money to upgrade that park and do the things that we're already doing. And get that we have an $800,000 overage. And so I'm not sure where I sit yet on whether it's the agency or the city should fund that. I think we talked to the budget committee, the city council spoke to the budget committee about how we're, working towards bringing the reserve down perhaps. I just think that that's a big chunk of reserves to be coming out from the recommendation of the city council. So we pay for it out of urban renewal, and that puts a hit on these projects. So I'm not sure where I'm weighing on that.
Commissioner Davis and then Commissioner Banks.
Thank you. I agree with the mayor in regards to the scale down version, so we don't impact the city's budget as much but I fully support economic development and the job that our department is doing in economic development. So I'd like to make sure that that's taken care of. I do believe we need to do a scaled version, so it's not a significant impact to the city's operating budget. As far as the logging road bridge goes, I think since we're a new council, I'd like to see what the engineer came up with and the cost projection on that, and look at safety factors as well. I'm not in favor of colored concrete and pretty lights and things like that that was originally presented to the council. So I'd like to see a scaled down version of what did the engineer come up with before I can support the logging road bridge. I am concerned that in this last budget, if money was taken out of Logging Road Bridge, and now we're magically coming up with the money for the Logging Road Bridge. The last city administrator actually pulled the money out, and it wasn't there, and now it's back in there. So I'm a bit confused as to how we can fund it now versus how we were doing it before.
I can answer that if.
Okay.
So in last year's budget, I'm just gonna use round numbers. There may have been like $900,000 available to spend on projects. And when the community park started going to like 775 or whatever it is at now, some of those dollars had to be taken from somewhere else. So it was from the logging bridge to fund the community park. There just wasn't the money available last year to spend on both at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Davis, I did a budget request for 2.2 million for the bridge, and then a budget request for, I believe, like 505 or something to that for community park. And when I found out that we didn't have that much in there, so we had 425 budgeted for each project. And so like what Eric said, they took that 425 out of the logging bridge and put in there. And so if that makes sense, we just thought, we were in the same thing, we thought we had the $6 million on hand, and that was the mistake, we just didn't have it. So when Eric found the numbers, and that's what we cleared up today in our meeting on that, so if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I guess my comment on community park is just the fact that we had that discussion as urban renewal agency, and send a letter back to the urban renewal district with full intentions that the urban renewal district is going to ask for the city to reimburse that, right? And that's why I voted yes on that project at that particular point, with the understanding that we would be reimbursed in the urban renewal district for the overage for a community park. And so I stand by that, would like to see that occur. So number one would be economic development, paring that down to a percentage each year, revisiting the logging road project for this council, which would have to, I assume, the design that the engineer comes up with anyway.
And we actually have some cost estimates for you all.
These were done in May of 2022, but if you want to take one and pass it down, and I can email this out to the mayor, to the Urban Renewal Agency. On one side, it has a list with artistic fencing and lighting, those kinds of things, but the other side is also a little bit more pared down as far as just painting the bridge and the flagging and erosion control that would need to go with that. Obviously, these numbers are now a year old, so they are not going to be, but that at least helps to inform, and this is the document that we use to update those cost projections for this presentation today.
And this engineering firm is still under contract with the city, so any questions that you might have, we could get real easy from them. They're still in contact with the city and just waiting for direction.
And I would like to see a fresh review of these numbers and not rely on May 2022, because a lot of that, so we'll get you an updated
Yeah, thank you.
July 2023.
Yeah.
A lot can happen in a year now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
More so now than ever before.
Yeah, so just to finish up the Logging Road Bridge, I'm not in favor of doing the alleyways or Second Avenue at all at this particular point, and doing that out of the operating budget. The final comment that we have to understand that every citizen in this city is paying towards urban renewal. Okay, every citizen. And so I think we owe it to asking some of the citizens what they would like to see as well too. I know we represent them, but I think if we could do some kind of marketing analysis or polling or something like that in regards to asking the citizens what they would like their taxpayers' dollars to be spent on downtown and urban renewal. Because it was a fairly hefty amount that came out of my taxes paid to urban renewal. And perhaps I'd like to see that in parks, into other things that the money can be used for, which are, to me, a higher priority than putting up painting or, fancy lights on the bridge or doing alleyways. I would rather have parks.
Commissioner Banks.
Thank you. I have a question here. First, in regard to Commissioner Davis's comments, the colored concrete was not part of the Logging Road Bridge. That was some kind of ODOT repaving of 99. And secondly, I think lighting on the bridge is essential for several reasons, including safety. Thirdly, I think that this idea that we're going to ask the citizens what they want to spend the money on is a valid one, but only if we actually follow it. I'm reminded of the dog park, which was the number 2 most desired item based on the scientifically valid poll, but that was rejected by the council. And finally, I just want to ask, it's not clear at all to me what difference it makes if the overage on the community park is paid for by the city or by the Urban Renewal Agency. Like, I just don't understand why it would be an advantage one way or another. So I wouldn't mind somebody articulating that. Finally, I'm not in favor of getting the economic development director out of urban renewal unless the city picks it up. So I don't want to just get rid of that. So that would need to be something on next year's city budget if I'm going to support that.
Great, thank you. I have a couple of questions.
Sorry. Also, I'd like to have, if Eric can answer Commissioner Banks' question about, is there a pros and cons to where the money comes from?
I think the advantage to the URD, if the city pays for some part or all of community park, is that the URD would have more money to spend on another project. The downside would be it's reducing the general fund balance.
Wouldn't it be possible for the city to spend that money on another project rather than the urban rural district?
What do you mean exactly?
My point is, if we are not going to have enough money in urban renewal to accomplish all of the things that we need to do, then the city's gonna have to pay for that anyway. So it just doesn't matter to me that I can understand who pays for it.
Can I answer? So urban renewal can only be spent on what's in the plan in the actual mapped district. And so the idea is, whatever cost savings that the urban renewal agency does, it has to be spent somewhere else within that limited area. So, I mean, part of the freedom of spending something on something that's actually in the plan and in that map is that if you have general fund, there's a lot less restrictions on it, so it can be spent in other parts of the city. So it's another idea.
Then I would be in favor of the urban renewal agency picking up the overage and leaving the flexibility with the city's general fund to be used wherever the city wants to choose.
I'll just say one other thing. My understanding of the URA is that the URA is collecting tax revenue from multiple different districts. So that's reducing how much money the city is really going to be spending on the park, because other taxing districts are pitching in to build or to pay for community park. The general fund takes it, it's just property tax revenue.
I think that just supports my contention that the urban renewal district should pick that up, unless I'm misreading what you said there, Eric.
No, I'm just trying to say that in the URD, there are multiple different tax districts chipping in revenue for the URD. I'm backing up what you're saying. Without trying to say which one is better, right? That's not what I'm supposed to do.
Got it, thank you.
So Eric, you have a recommendation?
No.
Real quick, and I'll get to everybody else, when everybody gets an opportunity. Just for some clarification, is in your which order to do these. We've got a bid on the bridge. We don't necessarily have the design. Is the design completed, the engineering completed, anything like that?
We were shooting for 30%, but I think we're close to having 30% designed.
So my question then becomes, with the alleyways, is that something that can be done while we're in design phase on the bridge?
Absolutely.
Putting this in priority of like, can we wait till the bridge is done to then do the alleyways, or can we do them kind of simultaneously, or is it budgeting?
The alleyways and like them pieces of Second Avenue, we threw in there for a couple reasons, like small projects to fill in, like if you wanted to if you had a little bit of urban renewal money left, if you wanted to do 5 alleys or something, I could give estimates. The other thing is with the alleys, I wanted to just let you guys know is we put them in there too, kind of got the idea from Woodburn. They did it, I think, and they did it with their urban renewal. And it, we don't do the pavement condition index rating on those, and it's kind of gray area using street maintenance fee on them, so it's difficult to pave alleys, and that's why we kind of threw that in there. But yes, to answer your question, Sheriff Barwick, we could, those are easy to start and complete.
Okay, I just wanted that answer.
Yeah.
Because we're starting to think through, like, if it's something we move over waiting for design on a bridge, I don't know that needs to be like priority
Well,
review, you know what I mean?
the other thing is looking at your funding that you have available from each year. We want to point that out and not budget again for a $2.2 million project when we don't have it in the next 2 years. So, Chair Hodson pointed out earlier in the budget meeting that if we got money in there, that 150's in there, so that if you guys did want to look at some design and get it prepared for the next budget cycle, we'd be ready.
Commissioner Hensley, and then you can add.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, before I give my 2 cents on the opinion, I want to be clear on the numbers. The 1.8 or 2.3, is that assuming we've already paid for community park, or does that come out of that number?
No, that is assuming that the URD pays for the entirety of community park. Those numbers
And
are,
that's the number that's left over after that?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
To that end, I would agree with Commissioner Vice Chair Hudson. I also want to see us scale back on the economic development so that it's not a one hit, 1 year. We kind of get used to it and course correct if need be, as he said. So I definitely am in favor of that method, which I do understand that gives us a little bit more, a few more dollars for projects. As far as priority, I likewise would like to see new numbers and a scaled back version of the bridge improvements. I quite disagree with Councilor Davis a little bit, or Commissioner Davis, in that I think maybe just paint is a little too scaled back. I'm not for fancy, pretty lighting, projecting on it, or doing light shows or anything, but maybe some safety lighting would be great. So I'm thinking maybe happy medium, if we could get numbers on all of those, depends what that would look like. I would be interested in seeing that. As far as the other projects, the street's not in front of me, don't time go from memory. I do see the value in the alleyways. I likewise have been on truck tours and conversations with Jerry, and understand the need for that. So I think that that's important, but it also seems to be a lesser expensive project that we might be able to fund out of general fund later. I'm not sure what exactly the Second Avenue projects were, but they're not bold, but I think that the not so bold project of Fur and Grant between First and Second are kind of important, as it kind of caps off the downtown and makes it all look consistent. Plus, there are some safety issues on First Street that I would like to see addressed, and I think they could all be addressed within that project. I mean, with one broken shoulder, I think is enough, so I don't want to have anybody else get hurt on First Street. So, yeah, I'd like to see that bump up over the Second Avenue projects, in my view, because it's a safety thing. I think that sums up my thoughts.
Commissioner Maldonado, then Commissioner Patton.
I would echo Vice Chair Hudson, Commissioner Inslee. I think getting revamped numbers on the Logging Trail Bridge would be ideal. Just there's a lot there that is to be wanted, protected lights and whatnot. It's not needed. So we can definitely have lights for safety, or even some colored lights underneath that can be switched up, like what's on the archway there. Wouldn't be a bad idea. As far as the alleyways, I'm a little torn on it. I would like to see it come out of the URA and not citizens. These aren't areas that citizens are really using. So I don't want to see them pay. In my opinion, the tape drop's going to be most effective. It's just, instead of just, let the tape right off, get it out of there, that would be all right. Yeah, just real slow. That's a lot to feel.
All right, Commissioner Patton.
Okay, so I am on the same page as folks regarding the bridge. Is there, I like 3 options more than 2. Is there a way to break this down into like high, medium, and low, impact for the bridge, instead of just having like a high and a low, say like, this is the pie in the sky, this is what will still make it look good, this is to get it painted and put some safety lights on it, and kind of break that out into 3 different sections so that we have a little more to chew on. Is that possible? What do people think about that?
They're not.
Yes, yes.
So that's that.
That's
And-
actually really easy.
Yeah, if that's what
Yep,
you all
yep.
would like, then that's something that we can easily do.
Sorry, we were looking at everyone's, see if everyone's nodding, yeah.
And then,
Question was directed to.
as far as, I was not aware of the safety concerns, I guess, that, Counselor Hensley was talking about on, was it First Street, you were saying?
Yes.
Yeah, so if that's a thing, you know, and it's a smaller project, that won't eat up a ton of money, then, you know, I would be happy to get on board with that over like Second Avenue. But I've made it pretty clear that the alleys are high up there for me. A question for, the manager folks. Do we have to wait for the money to trickle in each year to do these? Or is there a way to, like, get the money sooner and get these projects going rather than waiting 2 or 3 years to do it?
If the maximum indebtedness has not been reached by the loan that we have, like, I'd have to look into that, but if there's any room there, you could take out another loan against the maximum indebtedness.
Now, would we incur more interest?
Yeah.
And that would cause the sunset or the loans to be paid off later, is my assumption if we did that?
I don't think we would want to make the district go any longer, so, you would just have to structure the loan, like, look at the loan, if there's even room for another loan, and then I would suggest you just try to pay it off the same as the other loan by June of 2026.
Okay, because I see how things go, and my fear is that if we wait 2 or 3 years to do these projects, it's only gonna get more expensive, right? I mean, if there's one thing we've learned, the costs of stuff are not going down anytime soon. So if there's a way to get these things all started sooner than later and capitalize on current costs, I would be all for that. The other thing I will just say, and this sort of piggybacks on Councilor Davis's comments. I was one of the folks that recommended, sorry about that, this light is really weird. I was one of the folks that recommended, you know, the URA or URD or whatever, contact the city council to get this paid back. I am still for the city council helping to pay off some of that overage, but I think what we have to realize is that that ball is now in city council's court. And so we, as the URA or the URD, can wave our hands around and say, this is what we want, but it's going to come down to a decision of the city council when we all have our city council hats on at some meeting in the hopefully not too distant future. And that's just how it is. Like I said, I hope that we can work something out with the city council. We're just gonna have to see what comes of that. So, yeah, I want to build some stuff. I am so sick and tired of not building things and doing things to help really the livability of the citizens of this community. We gotta get some shovels in the ground and we gotta do something. And I think this is gonna be a step towards doing that.
Great, thank you. Did everybody have the opportunity? Okay, so I'm kind of on the same boat as a lot of people. It's the taper down effect. I think that pulling the rug out from under right away. I know that I brought up a lot of conversation about it during budget, but I want to see us get to where the city's going, but I don't want us to do that. Pull the rug out right away. I'm interested to see different scenarios and different numbers, not necessarily the 80, 20, 40, or maybe it's a 40, 20, 10, I don't know. But interested in seeing, definitely on paper. And then I do think that if we're going to do the alleyways, if we're waiting on design and engineering on the bridge, if it's something that we can do while we're waiting for that, I feel bad for the people who live in the alleyways, their driveway, their garage. Some of them are pretty rough. And so I just think that we need to look at that pretty quick. So I hate to wait to the last year, we can wait another 2 years. So that's something that we can look at while we're in some engineering and kind of phasing the bridge. And if you think the bridge, like everybody said, something needs to be done to it because it's not good right now. but I don't know that we need to go full meal deal. So that's my thoughts on that. So. All right, any other comments, questions, concerns regarding this presentation?
Thank you so much.
Do you all get what you need from us?
I think so. I took copious notes, so I believe so.
I think we're clear.
What about this one is Mayor and I did here, because I didn't get them out on the color shirts. I'll have to double check my email. Awesome, well with that, if that's, there's no other questions, then the next item on our agenda is to adjourn, you have a motion to adjourn.
You can have it.
I'll give it to you, all right, moved and seconded, any further discussion regarding adjournment? No, good, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, have a great evening, Canby, stick around for Canby City Council meeting here in just a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Good evening, Canby. Welcome to the June 7th regular city council meeting, and please stand for the invocation and the pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this great community. I just want to take a moment and just ask for your care and that you wrap your hands around our graduates that are coming up here, in 2 days. They head off to college, to trade schools, off to serve and protect our country. And I just ask that you engulf them in love and care as they get ready to enter off into new chapters in their lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Next on our agenda this evening is we have a presentation from Clackamas Community College regarding the 2014 bond project. And the presenter this evening will be Irene Conan, the CCC board chair, and Bob Cochran, the Clarkins Community College, Dean of Campus Services. Welcome, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Irene Konev. I'm the chair of the Clackamas Community College Board. I'm also a first-generation Eastern European American with ancestry from Russia and Ukraine, and I'm also a homeowner here in Canby for 17 years. Thank you for having us here tonight. Clackamas Community College is wrapping up all our bond projects that were supported by a bond measure approved in 2014. Tonight, we'd like to share with you the highlights of what we were able to accomplish with our students, our workforce, and our community. As I mentioned, in 2014, the college district approved a $90 million bond for us to expand and update our buildings, facilities, and grounds. We constructed 4 new buildings, expanded and remodeled others, improved transportation to, from, and around the college, and much more. We were able to leverage the $90 million by getting state matches for 4 of the projects and getting grants for seismic work, the transit center, and even furniture. In all, we were able to leverage the bond dollars to more than $136 million, and now we will take a look at some of our larger projects.
Yeah, the first project we did is our Harmony campus over by Clackamas Town Center. I think I have to click on a video. I'm not sure how this is going to...
We just got new technology, so.
Well, what the video does is a time lapse of construction. So just imagine a building being torn down, which was the Dailicus Junior High, if you're familiar with that building on Sunnyside, or on Harmony and 82nd. We tore that down and then we built this building. This is our Harmony West building, 3 floors, 43,000 square feet. When we designed this building, we wanted this to augment our Harmony East building, which is our allied health building, where we teach nursing, EMT, medical assistant, and dental. So this building provided opportunities for students to go to one campus to complete their studies instead of going back and forth between the Oregon City campus and this campus. When completed, this is our lobby of Harmony West. You can see we made it wide open. We put a bookstore in there. We have overview from the second floor. We were able to bring some art down from the Oregon City campus that was kind of in a bad spot and really highlighted this. You can see that on the left. These are our science labs, the left being our AP and biology and the right being our chemistry. So again, this building was really designed to complement that campus, and it's doing very well.
The next building we built, on the first one on the Oregon City campus, is our Holden Industrial Technology Center. This is a 44,000 square foot building. We did a lot of parking lot repairs and renovations with this. Put high bays in. This is our manufacturing building where our students learn to go from manual machining, milling, lathes, and move into our CNC equipment, and this is a picture of one of the CNC machines. And again, I don't think we're clicking on a video at all, so we're just going to fake it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's on YouTube if you want to see it. Just a really beautiful building. We're getting a lot of use out of this. We have industry partners who come in and can't believe the quality of the building and the equipment we have, so it's really fun to show that off to people who are hiring our students.
This building is named after longtime college and technical career education supporters Terry and Sherry Holden. Holdens have a long history and connection to Clackamas Community College and the surrounding community. Cheryl grew up in Estacada and Terry grew up in Malala, and we are honored to have them as friends of the college. Additionally, you want to go to the next one?
Okay, I'm sorry.
A feature inside the Technologies Center is the Les Diaz Makerspace. This is a workshop where students and community members have access to tools if they need to create prototypes, models, and masterpieces. After proper training, participants can use equipment ranging from basic woodworking machinery, 3D printing, and CNC milling. And using laser cutters. The lab includes woodworking and construction, traditional metalworking and sheet metal, and a welding and a cutting station, digital manufacturing, electronics, and even sewing. The CCC Makerspace is the first of its kind in Clackamas County. If you are ever interested in checking it out, the Makerspace is open to the public on Fridays from 5 to 9 p.m., so please come by.
Our third building, second on the Oregon City campus, is our Desjardins Hall Science Edition. This is 23,000 square feet of new space for our science programs. We have new anatomy, physiology, zoology labs, biology, and chem labs. These were all moved out of a much smaller, older building, and it's very exciting to go through this. We added on to the existing Desjardins building, so now Desjardins and the Desjardins Science Edition is one complete science building for our campus. Here you can see some of the inside pictures. The left is our lab prep area, and on the right is an ongoing biology class doing the thing they do in biology classrooms. One of the guiding principles when we designed this building is we wanted science on display. On the left, you can see we had quite a large bird collection. We built a cabinet for that. We got a mini grant from the foundation for a beluga whale. So we hung that from the ceiling. And on the right, we were looking what to do with this big blank wall, and we decided to incorporate cougar DNA. Cougar is our mascot, and we had one of our biology teachers, Dr. Tori Blackwell, designed the wall with the cougar DNA, so this wall represents the DNA of a cougar as our students walk by.
Great. In the beginning of 2020, we opened our garage bay doors to a remodeled and expanded automotive department. When manufacturing moved out of the Barlow Hall and into the new Holden Industrial Center, we were able to double our automotive department space to split service technology on one side of the building and auto body collision and repair on the other side. The remodel and expansion provides students and instructors the space they need for a productive learning environment. These buildings are absolutely beautiful. Students have hands-on experience that mimics real shops. This gives them the experience they need to be fully prepared when they begin to enter the workforce. Today, these bays are filled with vehicles our students are working on, and many of our students have jobs secured before they even complete their programs. This expansion also doubled the space for the college's high school program, where students from area high schools come to the campus and take classes with CCC instructors. In recent years, there has been a decline in secondary schools being able to offer career and technical education programs, so Clackamas community has stepped up and is partnering and giving students these opportunities.
Our fourth and final building, the third on the Oregon City campus, is the Wachino Welcome Center. This is a 23,000 square foot building that provides all the services for the students, includes a multicultural center, our career and start labs, student government, admissions, disability center and vet center, and a new plaza. This building is the front door to the campus. We designed it such that people start here and the students come to one desk, they ask their questions, and staff come down and meet them instead of having students try to find their way out through campus. So this has been a real successful model, and we're really proud of this building.
When we were planning the Wachino Welcome Center, we knew we wanted to honor the indigenous tribes whose homeland the college campus resides on. After much research and discussion across the college, we met with the Grand Ronde Tribal Council and with the proposal of the name to be built, named after Chief Dan Wachino, who signed the Willamette Treaty of 1855 on behalf of the Clackamas people and was later removed to the Grand Ronde Reservation. The Confederate tribes were in full support. We were honored to have Tribal Councilwoman Cheryl Kennedy and other distinguished tribal leaders attend the grand opening in 2021.
And here's a few pictures of the inside. On the left is that desk I told you where you start as a student and come with all your questions and people come to see you. Behind there, there's other desks where people come to, staff come down and talk about financial aid or counseling or admissions. On the right is just this view from the second floor looking down to the first floor lobby. We also added on, or not added on, we renovated the existing community center. If you've been on campus, it was a very dark, dungeonous feeling. We painted it, added new lights, and just increased the usability of that space. Another building we're very proud of. Just me? Our last project was when we built the Wachino Welcome Center, we moved student services out of Roger Rook Hall. That vacated an entire floor of that building. So what we did was we removed student services, all their cubicles, and we built an executive office for the foundation, our president, vice presidents, and our DE offices. We also added 2 new community rooms. They're dividable. It's actually one big room that's dividable into 2, some conference room, and renovated a lobby for student studying space.
And as part of our bond projects, we also established workforce goals to involve students and to use local businesses. The SAIL program, which stands for Student Applied Integrated Learning, encouraged architects and contractors to involve our students in their work, including partnerships, mentorships, job shadowing, and site visits. The initiative got students involved in construction and professional contract work and hands-on experience. The SAIL goal was to get 1,000 student hours or more students, 1,000 hours or more for students to participate, and we ended up with double that as close to 2,000 hours. The BOLT program, which stands for Business Opportunities Achievement Target, encourages employment opportunities across Clackamas County to residents and minority-owned, veteran-owned businesses, as well as emerging small businesses. The purpose of this program was to encourage contractors and subcontractors to provide using these businesses. Our BOLT goal was 10% of all construction costs, and we achieved 30%. And finally, after 7 years of construction, we are ready to celebrate and show off our buildings and facilities with the community. As a thank you to the community for this ongoing support of the college, we will be holding a celebration fair on Saturday, August the 5th. Our Oregon City campus will be one large party with activities for all ages, entertainment, food, and access to all our bond projects and new buildings. We hope that you will come out and enjoy the day with us and spread the word about this wonderful celebration. Thank you. We hope that you come out and take a look at all that college has to offer, enjoy the facilities, and maybe even enroll in classes.
Thank you both very much for coming in here with the presentation on how part of the bond package was moved around and talk about what actually was accomplished. And there's a lot done in a very short amount of time. So thank you for coming back and letting us know. I think we need more agencies do that kind of circle back of what's been accomplished, said bond and said dollar. So really appreciate that. Comments or questions from, yes, Mr. Barry?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you for sharing about that. I have a soft spot in my heart for community college. Growing up, was not one who was able to go to a four-year school, and so much of what I know today, I learned at a community college. So I'm super thankful for what you do and the education that you give to those like me who weren't able to go on to university. It's incredible to see some of the things that you've done with the bond dollars, and I know that the trades and whatnot are somewhat struggling nowadays. With, there was a huge push for university for so long, and it's so great to see the community support to help people who want to go into trades work, with the education that you guys provide over there at community college. So again, thank you so much for what you guys do there, and I look forward to your party.
Thank you.
Councilor Patton and then Councilor Maldonado.
Yes, I too wanted to thank you for giving the presentation tonight. I did get a chance to see this presentation when it was given to the school board a month or so ago, so I got a chance to see the videos. It's really cool. I will let you know that if you go into the packet online and to their presentation and you click on those pictures, it will actually take you to the videos that did not play tonight. So if you want to see some of those videos, that's a way to do it. I've got the open house on my calendar. There's 2 other things that Saturday, and if I can squeeze it in, I'll be there.
Thank you. Forward to seeing you.
Councilor Maldonado.
Thank you. Yeah, again, that was, there was so much information, so much there that just absolutely warmed my heart. If I had something like that whenever I went to college, I probably would have had a different degree. I love seeing the trades and vocational aspect of it. It's something that real life lessons that need to be taught, other than just getting a degree, getting some actual knowledge behind that degree is just something that I can't say it well. So thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next on our agenda is citizen input and community announcements. So this is an opportunity for our audience members to address the city council on items not on the agenda. If you are interested in speaking and addressing the council, there's yellow card back on the podium. Please fill those out and bring them to our city recorder, and we will make sure that you get heard. Each person will be given 3 minutes to speak. If you need more time than that, please work with someone in the audience to give you more time. Staff and the council will make every effort to respond to questions raised during the citizen input portion of the meeting. If you would like to speak virtually, please email or call the city recorder by 4:30 on council nights, and with your name, the topic you'd like to speak on, and your contact information, and she will make sure that you're queued up for that. First this evening, I have Belinda Goody, the new Chamber of Commerce Director. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be here tonight. I'm just basically here to introduce myself. I've met some of the counselors already and answer any questions that you might have. Most people ask me where I'm from. That's been the common question. I'm originally from Colorado, moved to Oregon in 2007. Been on the coast for a while, moved to Central Oregon, and then I landed in the Valley about a year ago. So that's how I ended up here.
Any plans for the chamber?
We're going slowly. I think slow, thoughtful growth is important. I don't want to stir things up too much too quickly. But we're doing big things already. We're working on a new membership package. We're doing some rebranding, and really trying to figure out what the value is of being a member of the Canby Area Chamber of Commerce, and try to boost that for all of our membership.
Well, Belinda, having started my political career, if you want to call it that,
As a member of the Chamber Board, I believe that Chambers of Commerce are very critical to part of the economic growth of the city, both with working with the city, but also advocating for the businesses, especially in a climate like Salem, where we need as much advocacy for our businesses as we get for down there. So anything that I can do, please let me know. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the Chamber, especially Canby Chamber, so let me know if there's anything to do.
Thank you. We had a very nice shout out, if you will, in Salem when we went to the annual Chamber Day at the Capitol. So that was fun, and we had some very good representation for Canby there.
Well, thank you, and yes, please let us know,
Sure. I've had wonderful support so far. Our board is fantastic, and the community has been very friendly and welcoming, and it's really nice to be here. Can I answer any other questions? Anyone? No? Okay. Okay, all right. I'm sure I'll see you around. Thanks very much.
Next, I'm actually going to turn it over to Chief Davis for a moment, because he's got a guest that he wants to introduce.
I had the privilege, as everybody knows, Canby High School has a job shadow, and we see a number of students over at the fire department. Well, this young man is actually interested in what we do in government and political science for the most part, and trying to make some determinations as far as which career path he's going to take. So I had the opportunity to spend a couple hours with Henry, who lives in Canby, up Carriage Lane. And so why don't you just introduce yourself real quick and tell us what you thought of the job shadow.
I'm Henry. I'm a sophomore in Canby High School. I'm a troop member I'm a Boy Scout with Troop 258, and the job shadow was pretty fun. It was enjoyable. I got to talk to an interesting person, to say the least, and got to go to the county offices, which was cool, and also around. Saw the fire department, the south and north side, which was cool.
Great. What was your biggest takeaway?
Probably that Marion County's fire department's radios are a lot worse than the tri-counties.
I had to listen to Chief's radio a little bit, did you?
It was interesting.
Did you have an opportunity to meet any of the county commissioners when you went down there?
I did not know.
That's all right, I'm just kidding.
We did discuss the state government, county government, and we came down to City Hall here, so City Hall where we met, and the relationship between city government, county government, and state government. You know, so.
Great. Council Patton, you had a comment or question?
Yeah, so I think it's great that you are interested in this crazy world. And all I can say is, as someone who was also interested in it in a young age when I was in school as well, I would just recommend getting involved in the clubs and organizations here at school and get some leaderships, cut your chops as far as being, on the president or chair of the various committees. And then if you go off to university, definitely look up the Student Government Association there. And that was probably, of my time at college, the cheapest experience that I got was being on the board for the Student Government Association. So kudos to your future in this, and hopefully in 10 or 15 years, we'll see you back here in Canby running for city council.
Councilman
I would definitely say it's gonna take a lot of background there. So, you wanna get into something like this, what about it actually piques your interest the most? What do you go for it?
I want to be a history teacher that is involved with the community, so staying on a board, and that's, I don't know, I feel like it's important to have people that care about their community and want to be involved, and I like being involved in my community.
Councilor Barwick and then Councilor Banks.
Yeah, Henry, thanks so much for coming. This is so awesome to see you out there and doing this. Your mind might change if you were involved in it a little bit more. Just kidding. I ran for re-election, so I obviously love it too. But man, just getting involved is fantastic, and I'm so proud of you for doing it. I'm just going to challenge Mr. Patton a little bit and say, I hope it's not 10 to 15 years before you're back. Some of our communities allow high school people to help out, so consider getting involved in one of our communities that allows high school involvement, and you would bring some good stuff to some of these committees. And so I thank you for being interested, and thank you so much for caring about our community. It says a lot, and I think that everybody, no matter age, has an opportunity to affect change, and you are part of our future. And so I'm just super thankful for people like you who are willing to say, I want to help out, and I want to love my community, and I want to be a part of making it a better place. So keep going, and yeah, get involved, get plugged in, as Councilor Patton said, get involved in the school, get involved in college, wherever you go, and stay involved here.
Councilor Banks.
Hey, look, I just want to say, as a high school history teacher and a city councilor, it's not too late to back out of that. So seriously, who'd you have for U.S. History A this year?
I'm an A push. I have Underwood Jet.
Yeah, excellent. Are you taking a AP Euro next year?
Maybe. I'm thinking about it.
Well, it's not too late to sign up. I hope to see you in the fall. Good for you for coming down here, man.
Henry, thank you. I know that, I'm sure Councilor / Chief Davis didn't tell you that you'd be put on microphone, but that's something we'd like to do to all of our guests, so.
And Jerry.
And our public works director. So thank you. You're a great sport, taking some questions, so. But if there's anything that any of us can do, please, feel free to reach out.
Sweet.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. You owe Dairy Queen gift card or something?
No, we'll put a Dairy Queen first close.
Next yellow card I have is Craig Llewellyn regarding urban renewal agency project request. So we had an urban renewal agency meeting before our city council meeting, and it was a work session. Generally, we don't take comments during work session, so kindly stay on to ask a couple of questions.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know if this is I didn't realize you couldn't talk in the last session here, but, I'd like to challenge this group a little more and ask you to think bigger when it comes to investing in the community. When we put that urban renewal agency together 23 years ago, I was asked to represent the property owners out there, which were farmers, and some of those guys were 5-generation farmers. They got excited on this for two reasons. Number one, it got us out of a pickle. You'll learn more of that pickle as we move forward with the UGB, but and the second thing that happened that got them excited is how they could help revitalize downtown. And given what's gone on in the last 20 plus years with that urban renewal, a lot of those farmers have passed away now, but if they'd have known what was going to happen, you'd have never had an urban renewal or an industrial park. The power of urban renewal is the leverage that you can bring to invest in your community. One of the things we got excited on is how can we revive downtown? And one of the things, looking at the looking at the positive things that you had and looking at how you could invest in the community and what could bring those dollars back. The fairgrounds just stuck out like a sore thumb. And as I said 23 years ago, and that group said 23 years ago, connect downtown to the industrial park with roads, biking systems, walk systems. Get around the county fairgrounds with a hotel and convention center. You need to bring tourism into Canby. That's what's going to save downtown. And in the years the last 20-some years, just throwing money downtown is not going to do it. And as that UGB expands, and it's amazing to me how we're having the same discussions we had in the 70s, as that UGB expands, if you don't start looking at making an investment to bring tourism in, your downtown's going to die harder than it ever did before. I promise you. You can go city after city and look at this. Canby reminds me a lot of Albany, Oregon. You're really up against a couple of rivers. There's only one way you can grow, and we will grow. And fighting growth makes it worse. We've learned that. So my wish would be to see a hotel, a convention center at the fairgrounds. You can come with parking, bring in that tourism. And by the way, when you do that, when you invest in something like that, it brings in tax revenue. You will get developers excited. You'll get property owners excited. You won't have to worry about alleyways. They'll get taken care of. So I just encourage you, think bigger than you're thinking and investing in this community. Because you have the ability to do that with that urban renewal plan. That's why it was here. That's why we went forward with it.
Appreciate that. Next is Matt English, urban renewal and.
Hi there. Evening, Council. Thank you for your service. I'm Matt English. I'm a Division Chief with Canby Fire. I live in town, 1254 Southeast 13th Place, lifelong resident. I'm here tonight to represent the Fire District Board and the Fire District to let you know that they appreciate your consideration in sunsetting the URA no later than 26, which I heard June of 26 today. The City of Canby is losing $1.1 million and the Fire District annually, and the Fire District is losing $535,000 annually with the current tax structure that we have. In 25-26, the amounts will be higher, so please keep this ideology as a priority tonight when you guys decide on what projects or later projects you'll be using as far as working through to sunset the URA. That's all I got.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All the, cards they have, mind anyone online at all? No? Okay. Councilor Brand, I see your hand up. Is that a hangover from from earlier, or is that?
That's a hangover, sorry.
Okay. We'll move into the consent agenda this evening.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda that includes the minutes of the February 10th, 2023 special call to City Council and Urban Renewal Agency meeting minutes, and the minutes of the April 5th, 2023 City Council regular meeting.
Motion been made by Councilor Hensley and seconded by Councilor Burbank to approve the consent agenda, which include the February 10th, 2023 special call City Council and Urban Renewal Agency meeting, as well as the April 5th, 2023 City Council regular meeting minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? Consent agenda passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is ordinances and resolutions. Looks like it's a full evening of ordinances for us this evening. So the first one up is in Mark 1601, ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to enter into a 6-month service agreement with Jan King for $52,860. That's the second reading.
Really, there's not much more to say. We brought this up 2 weeks ago. We're changing up our city building sanitation and cleaning, and so Janet King is who we're looking to contract with. Am I leaving anything out?
No.
Okay. Any questions for staff on this? All right, seeing none, I will.
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt ordinance number 1601, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to enter into a 6-month service agreement with Janet King for $52,860.
Second.
Motion's been made by Council President Hensley and seconded by Council Hardwick to approve ordinance number 1601, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to enter into a 6-month service agreement with Janet King for $52,860. And Council Banks, you have a comment?
A question, so is $50,000 the threshold over which the city manager needs to have permission?
That is correct. So anything that goes over $50,000 from a contract perspective comes to the council for approval.
And has that been that way for a long, long time? I think that it would be wise to consider in a future city council meeting raising that. I wouldn't mind putting that on the agenda. I'm supporting this one now here, but it almost tedious.
So, this is Joe Lindsay. That is actually a charter provision. It's in the miscellaneous provisions on the last page of our charter. So it takes a charter change, which takes a collection of 10%, I think, of your electorate, and then it goes to an election.
Council President.
Yeah, so this is actually something that I brought up during our goals session about cracking open the city charter and making some updates to bring it up to speed with modern times. So as far as I'm concerned, this is already on the table, and we just need to check its priority as far as the goals go.
All right. Thank you for the input. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Oh, man. I know, I might put it in my script too. Maya, roll call vote.
All right, just a heads up, my speaker isn't turning on, so hopefully it catches on here. I'll figure out for next ones. Councilor Patton?
Aye.
Councilor Maldonado?
Aye.
Councilor Barwick?
Aye.
Councilor Banks?
Aye.
Councilor Davis?
Aye.
And Council President Hensley? Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Next on the agenda is ordinance number 1602, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to approve a 60-month agreement with Direct Lane for the City of Canby. Joe, are we need anything on that further?
We explained last time that this is a 5-year contract with Direct Link to continue giving us services that they provide.
Any questions for staff at all on this one? No? Councilor Davis.
Are you ready for a motion?
I'm sure am.
Okay, I move to adopt ordinance number 1602, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to approve a 16-month agreement with Direct Link for the city of Canby.
I'll second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Davis and seconded by Councilor Barber. We need to advise there, Councilor Banks, sorry about that. To approve ordinance number 1602, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to approve a 60-month agreement with Direct Link for the City of Canby. Roll call vote.
Councilor Patton?
Aye.
Councilor Maldonado?
Aye.
Councilor Barwick?
Aye.
Councilor Banks?
Aye.
Councilor Davis?
Aye.
And Council President Hensley? Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Next ordinance is number 1603, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator designee to enter into an amended employment contract between the City of Canby and Eileen Stein. Eileen, are you taking this or is it Joe?
Okay, thank you. Thanks. In order to effectuate the hiring of your interim city administrator in a faster fashion than our ordinance process allowed, we started her contract capped at $49,900 so that we didn't have to do an ordinance right away. Now we are coming back with the ordinance as promised in our agreement that we would do it as soon as practicable. So we're here at the next meeting offering that first reading of the ordinance so that we can foreseeably see the value of our contract surpassing a $50,000 expenditure. This should write up this, our Councilor Banks.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions? No?
We can expect this, I think, so, Mr. Mayor, we should approve ordinance number 1603, an ordinance authorizing the city administrator designee to enter into an amended employment contract between the City of Canby and Eileen Stein to come up for second reading on June 21st, 2023.
Motion has been made by Council President Hensley and second by Councilor Molinaro to approve ordinance number 1603, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrative designee to enter into an amended employment contract between the City of Canby and Eileen Stein. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Councilor Banks, an abstention?
Aye.
Oh, sorry.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we didn't hear you right.
Motion carries 6-0. Next item is ordinance number 1604, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to execute a contract with Pape Trucks in the amount of $282,723.81 for the purchase of a new dump truck and declaring an emergency, and that's for the first reading.
So, I'm gonna have, Jerry come up and explain this one to you.
Yeah, so we want to apologize for the emergency clause on this one, but we have been, we budgeted in this budget cycle for a new dump truck. We have been trying for this entire time to get even calls back on pricing for these. We actually got a call last week for pricing on this, and it's under a sole source government pricing, and I want to thank Maya for getting it on the packet at the last minute. So this is something, the last dump truck we purchased like this one was in 2005, and it was around $94,000, and that was a huge deal. I was talking to our city administrator about this, and she's like, Jerry, how is this thing so much money? And we all agree on it. It's expensive, but this is kind of a base model like we purchased the last time. Our other truck has been great. It's still running all right. With all the weird storms we're having, the sander has to go in that truck, and it takes 3 hours to take it out, put it in. And so if we're able to purchase this will save a lot of time during the winter stuff and provide backup if that other truck does go down, because it is getting some wear and tear on it. So
Jerry, why does a dump truck cost $280,000?
It's just unbelievable. And this is a 3-axle dump truck. This is nothing special. I mean, it's like our yellow one you've seen run around town. It's exactly like that, same exact truck, nothing different. It might have a little bit fancier seats in it, but it's basically the same thing, maybe Bluetooth. And no, this is a pretty bare basic truck. I mean, you look at, when you see these big 5-axle dump trucks like Canby X and them have driving around town, they are super expensive. I mean, just really, and just everything. I think did you have a question?
One of the things with the cost of equipment is one of the things that when I tell people like what the cost of a fire truck is,
Yep.
or a dump truck, or a street sweeper, I'm trying to remember the fun things we've purchased.
Mini track hoe we just purchased, yep, trailer, yep.
It's not cheap stuff.
Yeah.
But between you guys and our mechanic team, you do definitely squeeze the life out of all the equipment, so I really appreciate that.
We also had other money in this to purchase a service truck because our other service truck is like a 94. The doors are falling off of it, the radio, everything is no air conditioning, everything's kind of quitting on it because you can't find parts for it. But we just can't get, it's just hard to find right now. So we're hoping in the next budget cycle to ask for a request for one of those. But the emergency clause allows our finance team, if you approve it, it gives them a week to get a PO to secure the funds in this budget for the next one, if that makes sense.
Councilor Martin, Councilor Davis?
Yeah, I was gonna say, part of the answer to your question is the base for F-150 costs almost $80,000, and the maximum costs $120,000, so it's just the way things are.
Yeah.
And we're lucky it only costs $282,000.
Yeah.
Councilor Davis, and then I'll go to Councilor Patton.
So Jerry, I don't like emergency clauses.
No, I've been waiting for Councilor Hensley to say something.
I'm not Jerry,
Reason for the emergency clause?
We weren't able to get price quotes in this budget cycle until, was it Monday, Maya? Last Monday, we've talked to Western Star, we've talked to Volvo, Peterbilt, and finally Kenworth was like, we'll get you a price. And I said, well, I need it today, if you're gonna do it. And then we'll hope that council passes the emergency clause. And we came in here understanding that, after talking to Eileen, that this is putting a lot of pressure on you guys, and we apologize. So we understand if it causes a heartburn for you guys. So, but it's backlogged and just with everything being busy, honestly, Councilor Davis, we could have probably tried harder, just with everything going. We could have pushed dealers harder, but everything kind of got pushed to the end, and the crew kind of got to the last minute and said, we need this, so we got the prices right at the end, so. Yep.
So it's an urgent need for the traffic cost, the emergency clause, not so much as.
If we didn't put it in the next year's budget, so it would be a whole nother budget cycle. We would go a whole nother year without a truck. And honestly, I don't expect to see this truck for a year.
Okay.
That's so if we had it and the crew was using it by this time next year, I would be ecstatic.
Councilor Patton, and then Councilor Grimes.
Yeah, so the thing is, metal is expensive and it's only getting more expensive. So I'm gonna jump the gun here a little bit and I move to approve ordinance number 1604, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to enter into a purchase agreement with Pepe Trucks in the amount of $282,723.81 to purchase a new dump truck and declaring it an emergency.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Patton, seconded by Councilor Davis to approve ordinance number 1604, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator contract with Pepe Trucks in the amount of $282,723.81 for the purchase of a new dump truck and declaring an emergency. Councilor Banks, comment, question?
Yeah, just a comment. I just want to point out, it would be remiss of me as both a dad and a teacher to let an opportunity pass me by to support the whole 9 yards on this vote. That's a dump truck history joke.
Thank you, Councilor Banks, for that. Any other discussion or funny jokes? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right,
Thank you.
we can almost provide some picture.
Almost. Thanks.
All right, thank you. That concludes our ordinances for this evening. The next piece of business is discussion on the city administrator recruitment. Turn that over to you, Mike.
I hope everyone got the fourth potential consultant. That was one that didn't quite make the original packet when it got presented to the council, but is equally as important in that there's 4 options for the council to look at. That also is a 41-page document, so hopefully people had a chance to kind of observe it in the day or so that they had. So this is really a council decision on which consultant they want to work with. They all are local, but some do more than just local, meaning they've all done work in the area. They all have a particular criteria, so beyond that, it's really the council's decision.
Yes, sir. Any questions, discussion? And Joe, from us tonight, are you looking for a consensus from us? Or are you looking for us to kind of come back for an official decision?
If you guys said, let's just go with the cheapest one, that would be something. If you guys said, we're interested in this one, or you have questions or clarification that you want me to go back and ask. The scope of this is pretty similar, and it's pretty straightforward. So I think they all kind of presented similar scope. They were all notified that this time was kind of the essence in terms of getting this recruitment going, and there were a few additional ones that I saw that said they couldn't do it in that timeline. So these all reflect a pretty urgent timeline.
Thank you.
I guess I'd like more time to actually review these. And then perhaps have some discussion with the council, maybe at our next meeting after we've had
Councilor Banks?
Thank you. Do all of these firms advertise in the same places? Do some of them reach more applicants than others, or are they all pretty much the same?
It's hard to answer that. I am aware of them because I have seen all of them locally for various positions, so that's one thing. They all have their own websites. I can report that because I found them. And then they all then seem to show up on various other advertising places like the League of Oregon Cities and various other sorts of websites. So they all do their own marketing. I'm not sure which one's the best in terms of that. Nor would I say.
Does that answer your question, Councilor Banks?
Well, yeah, I kind of wanted Joe to say, but I see he's not going to.
I'm in no position to say, to qualify them.
Well, I will add that as we're reviewing the fourth one, and even maybe as you go back and look at the other ones that came in, I would say too that the council needs to, part of that conversation at our next council meeting needs to be, this will come up in conversation with the firm that we choose, but are we going to stick to Oregon, Northwest, we're going to go west of the Mississippi, we're going to naturally, all those things play into the recruiting process. So you're contemplating your choice, or you think who that's going to be, take those things into consideration in terms of the search, their net that they will cast. That also drives up costs, but that also, does that create a greater pool? I will tell you, city managers are hard to come by. So it's something to keep in mind, not too different than the last search that we did. We cast pretty wide net in that process. So Jim, you're asking for a little bit more time. Councilor Patton, thoughts?
Are any of these companies the ones that we used the last time? Have we used any of these companies in the past, or are they all new to the city?
We have used, of these companies in the recent past, as far as in the 11 and a half years I've been here, we've used Crossman.
Okay.
Although Crossman and what is it, PMGR, GMP.
GMP?
They are a breakup part of the single company we use. So we've sort of halfway used both of those.
Do they specialize in two different things? Is that why they're under two different names?
No, it was a breaking part of the company.
So,
I mean, I guess for me, would we have a discussion, if we don't make a decision tonight, would we have a discussion about these in the regular meeting, or would we have the discussion in a work session? And then get a consensus from the work session and take that into a decision at the meeting? Because I don't want to do it in executive session. I think it's fine to do this in the daylight with the public.
Yeah, well, and there's an allowable use of exec session for this particular decision.
Fantastic.
I'll say, a lot of times as you look at these, because it sounds like there's probably consensus to give a little time to think about it until next meeting, is some of them do have a footprint that's a little bit broader. Some of them have a slightly different price. Some of them have guarantees that, they'll have somebody in place and then they'll be successful for a year. So there are factors that you can kind of use to consider. They're not exactly just all apples, although they are similar, and they all, put together. Sometimes when we're looking at consultants, we look at how snazzy their presentation is or how big it is, or what they're claiming to present as far as like what team they're going to, offer to come to the city, because several of these companies are large, and so sometimes you look at the specific individuals that they're proposing to focus in on Canby specifically. So those are some of the ways you can look at it as you're trying to kind of figure out what the discussion's going to be.
Okay, then my follow-up to that is, it sounds like, so I guess what I'm envisioning is maybe tonight, as a council, we can tease out some of the things that, and this is what I'm suggesting to folks for feedback. Tonight, we tease out some of the things that we would want to see in a recruiter, whether it's who looks just within the state of Oregon or looks outside of the state of Oregon, who has a guarantee, who has this, come up with like the list of things that are important to us in the recruiter. And then I don't know if it would give someone on staff time to go through these three companies and do sort of like a checkbox in each category to say this one ticks 5 of the 10 boxes or 8 of the 10 boxes, whatever those boxes are, and kind of creates like a cheat sheet on what those things are, is what I'm sort of envisioning.
Is what you want, Jason.
Huh?
You want some sort of a rubric made for this purpose.
Yes. Rubric, that's a good word. I need to remember that one.
It's fancy for chart.
I know.
Well, so, yes, Councilor.
This time, do you have any thoughts on this? I mean, you've been around for a while in this field. Do you have any feel for any of these companies, or how you would recommend we proceed?
I think that the way that, that Joe has suggested and with the criteria is a good way to go. Identify the criteria that you want to use, identify the process that you want to use, the criteria that you want to make a decision about, and evaluate the proposals based on that.
Seems like we might need a work session.
Well, I mean, do you think that we can discuss the criteria that we want to try to put together tonight?
I like Jason's idea as well, is try to read out some of those things tonight and then have a work session. Gives us more time to actually look at these as well ourselves.
Okay, so what criteria do we want to use or discuss? Councilor Banks?
Well, when I was going through the packet, one thing I liked about the GMP thing was that they had, I believe, the most regional searches for this same kind of gig, including in our neighbors, Woodburn, but a bunch in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. I think one of the criteria might be the experience, and that's one way to measure it. I also liked the last one, whose name escapes me, and I don't want to scroll through it right now, but they put together a prospective, personalized, like the picture of our city halls there, and I thought that was thoughtful. So one criterion you could use is, are they addressing it specifically to the city of Canby, or is this just a generic pitch? That's all I had. I'm not pausing.
Okay. Councilor Patton was kind of, you had some, I guess, proposed that you had some thoughts on criteria.
Is the, we'll call it the rubric, sort of the will of the council, or?
It seems to be.
Okay, I guess for me, some of the things that I would want to compare them is, are they local? Do they select just from the west, or are they national? What sort of insurances or guarantees? Do they have an insurance or a guarantee that if we choose the candidate through them and they run fleeing through to the hills with their hair on fire, that we get at least some of our money back? What time frame, what time frames they have for, if the from start to finish, how many months is the process, weeks or months? That is some of the ones that come to the top of my head right at the moment.
Okay.
It might be helpful if you identify what the time frame is that you're looking to replace, to identify this person. So if you're looking for, selecting somebody in the next 6 weeks, for example, that's going to cost you more money than selecting somebody in the next 6 months, for example. So if there is a time frame that you're looking at, I think that would be helpful for the consultant as well.
Council President Hensley and Mr. Lindsay, our last search for deciding on our last city administrator, how long do you guys recall that process taking? 4 months. About 4 months. Okay.
And that, I reached out to that person, they're just too busy.
Okay.
And the one thing about that person, I would like to see them in whatever contract you do pick up, what's the guarantee? The first one didn't work out, within, what is it, we had a year?
Yeah.
And then you got a 2-year on that one, the other one didn't work out, and we got the second one.
Right.
So some kind of a guarantee, warranty, if you will. So if something doesn't work out, then we have that opportunity to go back out and not to incur more fees.
Yeah, because honestly, then I'm trying to think back to when we hired, Rick Robinson. Did that, Joe, you remember, did that take about 4 months as well?
Yes, I think pretty consistently, because what happens for the process, just so everybody who hasn't come through it, is once you identify a consultant and you get them, contracted in, they'll show up and they will go over then how you pitch the city to the world and for the purposes of recruiting. And so you guys will come up with packet that way. And then usually there's a period of time, and a month is probably a minimum, to kind of cast the net with, the nice shiny object you made. And then once they identify folks, they kind of go through a kind of a filtration of folks, because usually there's a lot more. And then they ask you guys to kind of consider their considerations, which are, these are our top 10 choices, what do you think? And usually then, say there might have been 50 people applying, some councils would like to look at the first 10 and then also maybe the second tier to make sure that maybe you're bringing in people they want. And then there's usually a first interview process and a second interview process. And then if you get finalists, then there's kind of a couple day process, and then there's a background checking. So all of that usually ends up being about a 4 months.
I think I had in my head this was going to be about a 4 to 6 month process. So done right and done well. Yes, Mark.
Yeah, I heard some of the conversation about the guarantee. That's one of our bases, is looking at 3 of the 4 give a 1-year guarantee, and the SGR gives an 18-month guarantee. So every one of them comes with a guarantee. So that is, so that can probably be not awarding and selecting one, but it's unless we want to go with the 18-month guarantee.
Okay. Councilor Patton and Councilor Banks.
Why is it now maybe escaping me? Yeah, I'm for a fan of taking as much time as we need to get a good candidate, knowing that we need to move fairly quickly once we do, because they will get snapped up fairly quick. They have the potential to be picked up by some other municipality. One thing that I will stress, and I believe the last time there was a recruitment, I was aware of, a community involvement in that there was, like an open house for for citizens to meet this person. I would like to try and figure out how we can involve citizens in this process as much as possible. This person will be as much a city administrator for us as a council as they will be a city administrator for the citizens of the city. And I am a huge proponent of making sure that folks have some say in that matter, or involvement at least.
Agreed. Councilor Banks?
Thank you. I may not have understood this earlier. Do we have an idea how much these 3 different firms cost?
It says in each, I think at least in 3 of them, one is 17.5, one's 18.5, and one's 28.5, offhand. But you kind of have to dig in. If some of them are in the middle of their packet, because what they do is they kind of say what their scope of their work is, and then they have, some of them have pages and pages of who they've done stuff for. So you have to kind of dig through a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Then there's costs on top of that, Councilor Banks. So beyond that regular fee, there's the cost when you fly people in, say you have 3 finalists or 4 finalists, you fly them in and put them up in hotels and that sort of thing too, so.
Sure. In terms of where they're from, I did look at that earlier. 2 of them are from Washington and 1 of them is from Oregon. And I'll tell you right now, I'm leaning towards the GMP. And, there it is. I liked their presentation better.
Yes, sorry, Councilman.
That's fine. I know we talked about 4 months kind of being that usual that we've experienced. But one of these proposals has it broken down as a sample schedule. It's got it like 2.5 to 3 months.
That's really impressive.
And this is a firm we've used before. Is there something wrong with that kind of aggressive timeline?
Not necessarily, but I think their first date was pretty,
It's already passed.
Yeah.
I figured we would move that scale and get that, but I mean, the same amount of time frame goes what we're talking about, like, that seems pretty quick. But, I don't know.
Well, that might be a successful model. I mean, I just shared with each one that you guys were interested in doing it more sooner than later.
So we kind of have that list of kind of criteria pieces that we want to run these through. Do we want to, so talk to me about the next step. We want to have, are we prepared to make a decision this evening? Or would we, so what's say the council? Yes, Councilor Murray.
I would like to make a decision sooner than later. And I think, Councilor Patton made the comment of, they'll get snatched up pretty quick. And I do think time is of the essence for us to fill the position. I worry about taking too long to start the process and who we lose in that. Yeah, so I'd like to, I don't know that we have to do it tonight, but I'd like to make a decision at least by our next meeting and get started. But if you could make a decision tonight, that'd be awesome. But I'm okay waiting until next meeting also.
The court applicant was, no, Councilor was saying that she doesn't. Was that emailed out or was it added into the pack?
It was emailed out.
Check the spam. Yes, Councilman Maldonado.
I'd like to do a little bit more research as well. I definitely agree with Sean. We can make the decision tonight, definitely by next meeting. I would want to jump on something rather than.
Okay.
I do like to kind of check the box chart, maybe have that, so you can make a decision easily next time.
If we can put that on.
So general consensus seems to be as soon as possible to make a decision on that, so Council Bank, Council Patton, yes, the earliest we can to get the rubric and have a discussion.
I'm for that. Sure. My follow-up question to that is, and this is to city staff, with everything going on, will you have time to create this rubric by our next meeting?
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I was thinking too is if, because I can't say that I'm terribly savvy in making Excel spreadsheet graphs, but if we at least had something, at least the template sent out as we're going through them, we can do the checking off on our own.
Oh, like a scorecard.
Yeah, just basically a scorecard, but, because I've
will go back and reread a couple of the ones that I read, but, you know, I don't know, again, right, staff's got a lot going on, I don't, you know, they're gonna pour over 4 proposals, and we're gonna pour over 4 proposals, and this is one of those, it's really our call to make, and so that's my thought. I mean, they can do it, I'm still gonna do my own scorecard. I think scorecard's better than rubric. Yeah. Thank you.
So that loops me back to my original, not, if we do it that way, because I guess what I'm trying to get at is if city staff does not have time, and considering this is my plan that I've put in the oven, if someone needs to put the rubric together, I would be happy to work on doing that without talking to everybody and going through, Joe and Eileen and the folks at City Hall.
Well, I'll tell you what, then let's do this, Council Patton, if you want to create it, then run it through, Eileen and staff for, you know, any coloring of the lines that you need to do on it, and then we get that kicked out to the council for us to use as we're reading through the proposals.
Okay.
So then Councilor Patton, how soon do you think you can have that to us, okay?
Well, I can probably have it to city staff to look at by Monday, is that okay?
Councilor Barley would want to know if you can do that by 9:30 tonight.
No, I got into, where was I last night?
Where are you?
Well, I'm in Pullman at the moment. I'm right outside of the campus here in Pullman, but last night I got into Yakima at like midnight. And then tomorrow I go from here to Moscow to Lewiston to Walla Walla. And so from Walla Walla, I come home. So if I could work on this over the weekend, that would be great.
I was just giving you a hard time, Councilor Banks.
Thank you. Let me try and remember what it was I was going to say now. So Councilor Patton, when you're doing on that, see if you can pump Eileen, because I'll bet she's familiar with like all of these firms and processes, and see if you can like dig some recommendation out of her when she's not on the dais.
I will try not to do that.
Yeah, I think that would be a very tough conversation.
I might ask her opinion about things that should be included in the rubric, but not who should be at the top of the rubric.
Gotcha. Perfect. All right. So
if that's okay with you, Eileen.
All right. So we see direction for next steps. Everybody seem good with the next steps on this? Okay. Perfect. Thank you all. I appreciate it. So then that leads into the next topic of business, which is the possible cancellation of the July 5th City Council meeting. Now, we generally, with the 4th being where it is, we generally don't do, there isn't much city staff around, but we do have some hot irons that we got to deal with, and this previous conversation being one of those. So, but it's a tough conversation, it's on the agenda. Councilor Patton had his hand up first, and then Councilor Banks.
So my question is, what does next week's agenda look like? We now have this conversation about the recruiting firm. What else is on that agenda? And is there a work session? What is the plan?
Well, right now, Eileen and I met this past Tuesday, and looking at future agenda docket items, we don't have anything planned for the 5th. With that being said, that is we do that, hang on, I'm gonna answer your question before you ask.
Okay.
So, we do that in terms of queuing up what future agendas look like. Now, if we want to have a meeting
there are pieces that we can either pull from upcoming agendas and bring forward, or I can tell you right now what I would put on the agenda if I was making it tonight, and that would be conversation about the city manager search, and then city council discussion of the URD city community park triangle that we have to decide on. So
Are you saying that is what you would put on the meeting if there was a meeting on the 5th, or that's on the meeting for the 21st?
No, that would be on my agenda for the 5th, plus whatever second readings and ordinances we have. So we can make a full meeting. But Eileen, if we're gonna do a meeting, I would say, let's have it be a lighter meeting, not a lot of topics, because city staff will not be here on Monday and Tuesday probably, correct?
What day is July? Oh, that's Wednesday.
We absolutely won't be here except essential workers on the 4th.
Right. So what about Monday?
Yeah.
Probably not as well.
It's hard to speak for a lot of people, but a lot of people take that, try to take that shot.
So I wouldn't put, these are pretty, both, so the triangle of Canby, URD, Community Park, that's just a conversation piece. There isn't a whole lot to put together for that one, I don't think. And then the city manager search is on us to do a majority of the heavy lifting. So, and we could maybe throw in something else, but we'll see.
So on the 21st, we have a lot of agenda items that need to be done because that's the last council meeting of the year. We have budget adoption, supplemental budgets. So the 21st is pretty heavy already with mandatory items. And then the two ordinances that were just done on the first reading tonight will be on the 21st as well. So the 21st is pretty full.
Okay, so I guess I still haven't quite gotten an answer, but is it on the docket to talk about the ARPA funds on the 21st?
No, it is not.
This is where I'm going. As a council, we missed a whole month's worth of meetings, and we have put all of this stuff behind. There is a ton of stuff on that list for ARPA funds that needs to be used to purchase things to help this community. As we have discussed in the last several meetings, all of the stuff on that list is not getting any cheaper. It is literally going up by percentages every single day we think is around. If there is, I say we should do the meeting on the 5th, and one of the things that we should talk about is ARPA funds. That has been put off for too long. It needs to be done.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Banks.
Thank you. I kind of wanted to know if the majority of the council is going to be here. I will be in town and I can meet on the 5th, but it might be relevant if you're all traveling. This seems like an appropriate time. I was going to say this later during my council comments, but I will not be able to attend the 21st this month because I will be out of town, as well as the second meeting in July. So I am leaning towards meeting on the 5th, just so I can remember who you guys all are.
Okay. Is it, Councilor Davis?
Let's have a meeting on the 5th. I think we need that time to get caught up. I agree with Councilman Banks and with Councilman Patton as well, as far as things go, and we have some other agenda items and order presentations that we need to schedule.
Okay. Is there anyone else that can make the 5th?
I think we should meet on the
Okay, so it sounds like we can have a full slate for the 5th. Eileen and I will meet on Tuesday and work that out. Jason will have his scorecard rubric to staff on Monday, and we'll go from there. Does that work? Okay. Take care of that. We will move into mayor's business. Couple of things. So this past weekend attended the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee retreat. It was basically a day and a half of discussion on housing and homelessness, as well as transportation as relates to the tolling and congestion price increases that the state is continuing to talk about. We spent a lot of time discussing what might be alternative options to have the legislature work on, and other than tolling and congestion pricing. So as always, more to come on that. I would like to, I guess, get some thoughts from the council on contracting with a commercial realtor or a land realtor to look at the city looking at purchasing land for either parks or downtown development, or just looking ahead to our growth. So I'll put that out there for the group to noodle, and feel free to come back to me during your comments. So Canby Community Park is having some work done on it, so there's intermittent closures that are happening now until June, July, Jerry, end of July?
July 3rd.
Okay, so July 3rd, and then picking up again in the fall, correct?
It'll be waiting for the bathroom, so it could be as long as fall before we get it, so yeah.
Okay. So just know that that's going on in community parks, so that's why you see park closure signs posted at the entrance. We're talking about a meeting on the 5th, but on the 4th is Canby Independence Day celebration, so parade, downtown activities, fireworks in the evening, brought to you by Canby Fire District volunteers again. So full day of activities, car show, you name it. So mark your calendars and come down for that. With that being said, is it possible, I need to look at getting a banner made to hang off our new march, advertising the Canby Independence Day celebration?
Sure, certainly. I will look into it. Yes.
Is there one hanging there now?
We build them in-house now.
Oh.
So the city administrator could probably make that happen.
She made it herself.
If you design it, are you gonna design it?
What did I sign up for? I will not design it. That's probably not best. I'm sure there's way more talented people in this community to do, what's that?
You get Jerry a cricket.
So, yeah. So thank you, Jerry, for volunteering to make sure that happens. So another project, so Jerry, keep your ears peeled for this one. So we have some beautiful fencing that we put in along the railroad tracks, and there's a huge section of it that's been knocked down, tore up down there by the Canby, the Historical Society and the Train Depot Museum there. And I don't know if that's new. Jerry, come on up.
Let's get my guesses.
There's actually a couple sections even down behind Mike's place as well.
That is correct. The one down at, down towards across from Mike's place was almost a year ago. It was Hairfest that happened. We just got the street light ordered, but I talked to the fencing guy, the company, Kevin Bainey Fencing was a little bit on that. And he actually has the materials for that in the back of his truck right now. So he's just finding time to put it in. And then the other down by the train depot, all of those parts are ordered to replace that. We're hoping if we can get that Pine Street realignment done, this will stop. But in the meantime, we're gonna try to get it fixed as fast as we can.
So both of those were individual car accidents.
Correct.
So we're not necessarily on the hook for paying for that.
We have insurance information. The Canby PD just actually emailed me yesterday about that, asking what the cost was on that. So we'll get that to Joe for risk management and stuff and get that processed.
Okay, Councilman, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't say that.
This is my time, but that's fine, go ahead.
Since he's sitting there, real quick, the Pine Street one, we did be able to find the person that ran into those?
I'd have to follow up, but it might be two separate people. Yeah.
When I was living there were panels missing, and then one day I came home and we were picking up pieces that had just happened again. But did you discover any information we had talked about possibly putting guardrails?
That's what I'd like to do. I honestly, I don't want to make it unsafe, you know, because that's what that's for, is to keep people off the tracks. But I'd like to do something with, when we do the road alignment, it's going to push the traffic away from that. They're going to actually have to drive through like a parking lot to run into it. But I'd like to look into doing something so that they can't continue to hit it, because it is so expensive.
Right, and then finally, like I said at the outset of the meeting, thank you, Sherry. Yep. Friday is graduation for Canby High School. So congratulations to the high school graduates. Wish you all the best and have a safe grad night party and activities for that weekend. So please stay safe. We will move into counselor comments and liaison reports. I'm going to start with Counselor Banks.
No comments tonight.
Okay, thank you, sir. Counselor Patton.
So for me, my liaison meetings are next week, so I will have some more to report at our next meeting. But a couple of things real quick. Jerry, I have been defending your work down there at the community park. People are making assumptions on Canby Facebook, and so I have tried to head some of those off as saying the work is getting done when the weather is nice, because that's how this work gets done. But something that I am really excited about, that some people in the community may know about, some probably do not, is, and I'm kind of glad that there wasn't a huge showing of folks tonight at the meeting. There was some suspicion regarding the heritage oak tree, the Philander Lee oak tree. So when we got the email about the tree going to be cut down, I acted pretty quickly and got in touch with Don and Eileen, and I think I also CC'd Joe on it, about getting a hold of some of the wood from the tree, and then talked to the owner of the property and the tree, and the gentleman who was, who I think was like David, and then Larry, I believe, was the person who's taking over the package container place down there. And the other day I worked it out where I picked up 3 very large chunks of the tree, and I am working with a very good friend of mine who does wood turning. And I delivered the 3 pieces of tree out to Beaverton this weekend. And I won't say, I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I am working on having some artifacts, you can call them, made of the tree, one for City Hall and one for the Historical Society to be put on display at the Railroad Museum in an effort to try and memorialize the tree now that it is gone. It was actually kind of interesting. While I was down there picking up the wood, there was a gentleman that showed up, and I thought it was the Dave person, but it actually turned out to be the great grandson of Philander Lee, one of them. And he talked about the history of the family. He showed me the family tree of the Lee family and where different people are at. And he was going to also try to get a hold of some pieces of the wood there, because apparently one of the other descendants of the Lee family is a woodworker. And I did tell him that if he is unsuccessful and there's any wood left over from this project, that I will reach out to him, and then hopefully if they were not able to get some wood, that I will give some of it to the Lee family for their part in it as well. I will just say the tree did need to come down. There was the possibility of trying to save it, but it would not have been a long-term strategy. And so while I am sad to see old trees go, if it doesn't make sense to keep them around, it's time. So that's the big fun project that I'm working on right now.
Thank you, Councilor Brandon, appreciate that. Councilor Davis?
Thank you, and Henry, thank you again for coming tonight. And I also wanted to thank Scott Sassy for the great job he did on the budget as the new chair of the budget committee. Thank you very much. On the Park and Rec front, thank you, Elaine, for meeting with the chair of the Park and Rec committee, Barry Johnson, who's here tonight as well. We took time to bring everything up to speed in regards to the project that the Park and Rec committee is currently working on. And can't stress enough, we do have some time-sensitive projects that we want to go with Eileen in regards to Maple Street Park and trying to get contracts out on those, and so that we can move forward with getting that turfing started as well as a lighting at Maple Street Park by the end of August. So that's going to be on top of us sooner than we want, and so it's going to be important. We're going to get that done this year, that we get those two things going. In regards to, we do have an engineer working on, what's the name of that park again, up north, Barry Johnson?
Those, Otter Farms.
Otter Farms. Yeah, Otter Farms. And we do have the consultant working on the design for that park, so people who live off of Territorial and Molly in that area, you're going to very soon see some designs for that park up there. Community Park is underway. Thank you, Jerry, for getting that going as well. The fitness station at Legacy Park, hopefully will be on the agenda soon in regards to moving forward with that fitness equipment up at Legacy Park. The mayor and I have had a phone conversation with COGEO, and we need to get them in front of the council to make a presentation. They're ready to make a presentation to the city council for COGEO. And so hopefully if we can do that on the July meeting, they're biting at the bit to present to council as well as other civic clubs, the chamber, the Rotary, the Kiwanis, in regards to the potential for athletic fields in Canby. The Adult Center, Eileen and I did meet with Kathy Robinson of the Adult Center with Jerry, Jerry's representative, who's in charge of facilities. Just make sure that Kathy feels comfortable that we are paying attention to the remodel and work that needs to be done up at the Adult Center. We do have some revised plans for the Adult Center, and those have been sent over to Emery Construction for a rebid on how much money it will take to do what Kathy would like to do. The city has some responsibility for the outside, the structure part, and the Adult Center is taking responsibility for the remodel of the inside. So a lot of work there, and then we went over and visited the swim center. And so that was Anthony's first chance to see the swim center, and we were very impressed with the tour that we're given at the swim center. On the fire side, yep, fireworks are going to happen. I hope everybody can come out and have a good time after the Independence Day celebration. But we are working with the school district to secure and get the dates up, and working with the city and Jamie and Tyler coordination-wise for the fireworks show. As everybody noticed, we had a very large fire in Clackamas County up in Beaver Creek, and Canby has experienced a 3-acre fire. Fires are moving very rapidly and very fast. Things are very, very dry out there. Escalated well at least a month and a half in advance of where we should be. And the forecast going into July, August, and September is very, very dry. for the western Oregon area as well as the valley. So we have shut down burning right now, and very soon burning will be shut down through the summer to try to get control on some of these fires. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we held a tabletop grill over at Canby Police Department, and we had Canby School District there, City, Canby Utility, all the city departments participated. We talked over a tabletop exercise in the event of a disaster that we could experience. In this particular disaster was a simulated trail railroad derailment, which had some hazardous materials that then challenged the school district to talk about evacuation of schools within Canby, how that would be done. And the whole thing was more of a learning experience, not to say we did it right, wrong, or anything, but just to bring everybody together and to coordinate with all the other agencies in Canby. And so that was a complete success. We then went down and saw what FirstNet can bring to us, AT&T FirstNet, in being able to communicate with one another, but they can bring transmitters into Canby in the event that we lose cell phone connection or we have weak areas, but how we can actually tie our radios into cell phones in the event of a major disaster. Of course, the Canby Rotary Ready trailer was there, which has been put together by the Canby Rotary and is now going to be housed out at Public Works. Thank you, Jared, for the spot out at Public Works to hold that trailer, but that will be used to be able to charge cell phones. We're going to connect it to anywhere in the community that we need to, it's self-sufficient, or we can hook it into a generator system at like Baker Prairie, junior high, or someplace like that where the citizens can go and charge their cell phones, and also have satellite internet set up where they could make contact. So. And then I just had one question as a follow-up that I keep forgetting to ask, but on the park maintenance fee, did we resolve that? Did we have all the proper hearings for that? We're going to move that back from a permanent fee to every 5 years and all that. And that was, I believe, the first meeting in February that we discussed that, but I don't know if we fully resolved that issue.
It's got a 5-year sunset on it that is dated back to the December 31st.
Okay.
So that got resolved.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we close that one up. Okay, thank you.
Council Barwick.
Thank you. I don't have a lot tonight. Last planning commission meeting was canceled due to technology upgrades here in council chambers. As you can see, we have new in-screen monitors here, and I was hoping that we would have an in-flight movie tonight. Apparently, we do not. So we'll work on that for next time. So there's no report for planning commission. The transit advisory committee met during budget season, but I do have a small update from them. They are going to be meeting again on the 29th of this month because as of 7 o'clock tonight, a survey went out regarding the Saturday service and the 910X. So they are hoping for community input by filling out the survey, and then that will be discussed at the meeting on the 29th. So, dear Canby community, please give us input for Canby Area Transit. You can go on its social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, or on the Canby Area Transit website to get that information. So please fill that survey out. And if you don't, then we don't know what you want for transit. So that is all.
Okay. Council President Hensley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My liaison assignments are later in the month, later in the week, so I don't have any liaison report. I likewise attended the C4 conference with Umbrella Tree, Retreat. But I also attended the American Legion's Memorial Day Remembrance Ceremony, and the mayor's vote. So thank you for participating in that yet again this year. It's always a well-attended event that they do. And the next event that the Legion will be doing is Flag Day. So if you're out going to buy new colors to wave for the 4th of July, and you need to retire your old ones, please bring them down to the American Legion on the 1st Street gate. There's a depository, and there's also one in the lobby out here at City Hall, so that we can have them retired appropriately. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Councilwoman Miller. No comments this evening. Okay, sir, thank you. Moving into administrative business.
I have a couple of items. First, I wanted to bring it on Hardy to fill the council in on land use application, administrative application.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Wanted to give you a brief update on the FOB tap room outdoor seating area. This is of interest, I believe, to the council members, so I spoke to Eileen and she recommended that this be part of the discussion in this slot tonight for this hearing. This is information only, no action is required on your part, so I'm just going to give a little bit of an overview. There's kind of a long history. We started with the COVID outdoor open air program, as you all know. That program started last year. We also were in discussions with a parklet program that council directed staff to move forward with and evaluate, but to take a look at that, but ended up not implementing that program. So that brought us to the FOB tap room. They've recently applied in April for a administrative permit to have permanent parking spots, those 2 spots in front of their site, to allow those in a permanent configuration. So we reviewed that under our code. That parking lot is rather tight, as you all know. It does meet the parking standards in the city, however, under clear and objective standards. We also went through the process of vetting that through our normal process, through Canby Police, Public Works, and there were no concerns that were issued there. It was a type 2 process that was going through. We also did notice to within 100 feet of the site as part of that type 2 process and received no public comments. So the proposal really is for FOB is to put bollards out there to the extent of the parking striping only, so the travel lanes would not be affected. There'd be outdoor lighting that would be out there, and there'd be benches as well. So I wanted to give an update on that. This is something that it fits the code, even though that lot, I understand, is tight. We also vetted this on the ADA side of things with Clackamas County. They're in charge of the Americans with Disabilities Act parking spaces, and the relocation of those spaces down a few spaces towards the east, they said was completely approvable and was appropriate in that location. So I just wanted to give you a brief update on that. This is the outcome. There's been a decision made on this as of Tuesday, June 6th. There's an appeal period going to June 16th, but just wanted to put closure to that issue. And if there's further discussion with this council about, and this is on a private parking lot, so it does differ from the parklet program, which was really more on a public space arena. The owners, the only last thing I was going to mention is the owners of the complex were fully aware and authorized the application submittal as well. There are some spaces out there as well that are currently in a stripe configuration that are going to be striped as parking spaces that are in a loading configuration out there now to appropriately have the number of spaces that are needed in that complex. So if there are questions, I'm glad to answer those, but I felt since there was a ton of back and forth on this last year that you folks would probably want to know about this.
Thank you, Tom.
Sure. Okay, sure, welcome. Thanks.
Second item was an update on the community enhancement grants. Jamie left a note here. The first round of community enhancement grants closed on Friday the 12th. The city received 11 applications with a total request of $20,950. The requests come from a variety of businesses and organizations for projects, programs, and events. City staff reviewed the applications and determined that they were all eligible and meet the criteria to receive funding based on enhancing and enriching the Canby community. So city staff is in the process of sending approvals to all of the applicants of the first round. The second round of applications is open and will close on Monday, June 18th. City staff will review the applications on June 20th and award funding before the end of this month. So just wanted to do a report on that.
Great. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Second opportunity for citizen input. Great.
There's one that hasn't spoken.
Henry, you want to come back?
I will if you want me
You approved the consent agenda, adopted ordinance 1601, 1602, approved ordinance 1603 and 1604, second readings on June 21st, 2023. Councilor Patton will provide a scorecard on the proposals moving forward with the city administrator recruitment to city staff by Monday, June 12th. And it was approved to hold a July 5th council meeting.
Great. Thank you, Maya, appreciate it. I will take a motion to adjourn. First.
Aye.
Motion's been made by Councilor Rogan, second by Councilor Hensley, to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, we are out. Canby, have a great evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, Jason, thank you. Bye, Chris.